Well, I made it home. Got back to my own house. I'll have my own bed tonight. And I've made that trip so many times over the years that I know that road by heart. I know the different routes. There's several different routes that you can take. And I drove about 700 miles today. I started out this morning. I woke up 2 o'clock in the morning and put about 3 hours under my belt and got to Alva, Oklahoma, and pulled into a Love's truck stop and climbed in the camper and slept for about 4 hours and got up again and hit the road again and hammered down. And when you know the road like that, there's some places that you can go a little bit faster, and other places you slow down. And I got to La Manga Pass. Before I got there, it was clear blue skies across the San Luis Valley. And when I got into Fox Creek, the winds pushing out from underneath those clouds was about 50 miles an hour. And I was looking for trees on the road, and looking for mudslides. And then I got to Orca and I started up over the mountain. And it was maybe a quarter mile up there. It started snowing silver dollar sized flakes. And by the time I got to the top, I was 10 miles an hour, four-wheel drive, could not see anything. I mean, could not see the road. The only thing that I could see was the reflectors way out ahead, and I could barely see the left-hand shoulder just a little bit out my passenger or my driver window. And I just was kind of guessing. And I got to the very top, and there was this young woman that was on the side of the road, and I asked her if she was all right. She said, "I just can't see where I'm going." And she said, "Can I fall in behind you?" I said, "Yeah." And this is 25 miles from my house. I know that road just like walking down the hall in my house, just like my kitchen. I know that road every step of the way because I've been down it so many times. And she followed me for about, I don't know, about probably 10 miles. And we finally got into clear where you could see the highway, but there was still about 3 inches of snow on the highway. And we kept on moving and got behind two other cars, and they were driving really slow. And it finally opened up enough where some people passed those other two cars, and I could have gone on past because this one car was going pretty slow, but I said, no, I'm going to stay behind them, and I'm going to make sure that they make it off the mountain safe too. But as I was going, I thought, this lady does not know this road at all. She's never been down this road. She's scared to death. And I've been down this road so many times that I know that if we can just get down below Windy Point, if we can get to the state line, we'll get out of the snow. And sure enough, we pulled into town and got to the state line. It turned to rain, and it was raining all the way through town, and there was no more snow. And I was thinking about in life, there's people, you go through storms in life, and you don't understand what those storms are for. But one of these days, somebody's going to need the wisdom that you have gained from that traveling that road. Maybe you've gone to jail and you run across somebody else who's going through that. And you can tell them it's going to be all right, and here's how you work through it. Maybe you've gotten pregnant at a young age without anybody to support you. One of these days, you'll meet that other young woman who's going through the same thing, and you can encourage and you can lead them. And I was listening just now to a lady talking about relationships, things that she's going through, and she hunts with hounds. And I was thinking, and I've commented on one of her videos about how some days when I'm following Jesus, it's just like a hound on a fresh track. I feel like he's just right there in front of me. And other days it feels like I'm following a 3-day-old track, like Jesus is so far ahead that I really have to slow down like an old hound and sniff and just keep working the track out, trudging through every day. And it's the same way in our lives. We need to follow Jesus and just keep on the path that we're on with everything we have, and like an old hound dog, let out an old ball, big old long ball whenever you find the track and say, this is the way. so that the others, whenever an old dog, he finally finds that lion track or that bobcat track after they've lost it for a little while, he'll let out a big, long, lonesome bawl. And it lets the other dogs know, hey, the track is here. And they'll all come running, and pretty soon they're a team again. And it's that way in life. Sometimes we've been through stuff, and we can listen to other people who have gone down that same path that we're on. And whenever they let out that old long ball and say, come this way, this is the way to go, we can go there. And we need to be the same way of lead those others. Lead the people who've never been down this path and let them know that it'll be okay. We've been down this path before, and just fall in behind and listen and follow and be those taillights for somebody else. Have a good day.